Calculating body surface area, there are two main formulas that you will potentially use, and it depends on what that scenario is giving you. So for instance, you're going to look at the height and the weight in that scenario, and you're going to need to determine, is this based on the metric system or the household system? So that first formula on your screen, this would be the formula you would use to solve body surface area if they were giving it to you in the metric system. So if they were giving you the patient's weight in kilograms and the patient's height in centimeters, you would use this formula. So this formula says square meter, which is body surface area, equals weight in kilograms times the height in centimeters divided by 3,600. You would figure that out and then calculate the square root of that value. Now, if the scenario was giving you the household system where the patient's weight is in pounds and the height is in inches, you would use the second formula, which again is square meter, which is body surface area, equals weight in pounds times the height in inches divided by 3,131. So don't let those values get you mixed up. Memorize which one goes with each. So you would figure that out and then find its square root. Now, another formula you want to commit to memory deals with how to solve for the child's dose. And this will be required of you whenever the scenario is asking you to either solve for the child's body surface area or they've given you that number, and then they'll also give you the normal adult dose for that specific medication that's ordered for that patient. The child's body surface area, again, they will either give this to you or you'll have to calculate that out by using one of the formulas above that we just went over, and then you'll divide that by 1.73 square meter. And this 1.73 is the average adult body surface area. Now, some programs may use 1.7 as your number. Some may use 1.73, just use whatever they give you, but whatever, you're going to get the same answer. And then you're going to divide that, and then once you divide that, you'll multiply that by the normal adult dose that was given to you in the scenario, and then that will give you your answer for the child's dose. Now let's solve some different types of scenarios you may encounter on exams that require you to solve for body surface area. So before you do that, of course, you need to have these formulas memorized because that's the key to solving these problems. Second, you need a calculator that is going to solve the square root of values. And then third, you need to make sure you're following the rounding rules set by your program because they may round a little bit differently than how I will round in this video. So always double check. So our first problem says your patient weighs 163 pounds and is 5 feet 7 inches. What is the patient's body surface area? So we need to pull from this scenario the most important information we need to solve this problem. So we know that the height and the weight is very important when solving body surface area. But which formula are we going to use? The metric system formula or the household? Well, they gave us the patient's weight in pounds and the height in inches. So we're going to use the household system formula, which is this formula because the scenario gave us the patient's weight in pounds and their height in inches. But before we can actually use this scenario, we need to deal with this height because they tell us the patient's height is 5 feet 7 inches. So we need all of that in inches. So to help us do that, we're going to use a little bit of dimensional analysis. So the patient is 5 feet, and we know that in 1 foot, there's 12 inches. And this calculates out the feet, foot, and we're going to multiply everything at the top and everything at the bottom and then divide. So 5 times 12 is 60. 1 times 1 is 1, and that converts to 60 inches. Now, the patient still is a little bit taller than that. They're 7 inches. So we're going to just simply add that leftover inch up there. So 7 inches. 60 plus 7 is 67. So our patient is 67 inches total. Now we are ready to use our formula. So our formula, square meter, which is body surface area, and I'm just going to write that right here so you can see it, equals the patient's weight times the height. So their weight is 163 pounds times 67 inches. And then we are going to divide that by 3,131, and again, don't get that confused with the other formula. That's the key with it. So we're going to divide that by 3,131. Make sure you keep your square root because we do that at the end. So 163 times 67 gives us 10,921. And then we're going to divide that by 3,131. And whenever we do that, we get 3.4880. And we still need to figure out the square root. So the square root of 3.4880 is 1.8676. Now we're going to round to the nearest hundredth, and again, follow your program's rules for that. So you get 1.87 square meters, and that is the patient's body surface area. Our next problem says your patient weighs 27.2 kilograms and is 91 centimeters. What is the patient's body surface area? So you want to pull the most important information out of the scenario to help you solve. So of course the patient's weight is important and their height. So this problem's